This meeting is being recorded.
All 5 members of the board are present.
Hey, Jack.
Yes.
While we can hear you without static, you're pretty low, like you're far away.
AirPods we're supposed to do. Do you want to drive the meeting for a minute, Renee, while I fix my audio?
Sure, although I wasn't quite hearing what you were saying. I'm assuming that you called the meeting to order.
I did. If you can run things for a few minutes while I figure this out, that'd be great.
Sounded better. That's perfect. Whatever you just did is perfect.
Yeah. There you go. This is my view for the night.
Yeah. You see, like you're spinning around. Okay, so Jack, I don't know if the recording started, but I'll just say the select board meeting for November 12th, 2020 at 6:34 p.m. All members are present. And let's see here. I just want to make sure nobody else is in the waiting room. We can go to the first section, the appointments, resignations, and retirements. We have, and you know what? I don't have it up, so I'm going to have to. Michael, do you have up the packet?
I do have the packet. I don't have it up electronically.
Okay. Can you read the first appointment of the assistant water and sewer superintendent?
I will be glad to.
Thank you. Sorry, my other machine crashed that has it on it, so.
No problem. To the select board from Michael Units, town manager, November 10th, 2020. Reference, notice of appointment, assistant water and sewer superintendent. I hereby notify the select board that in accordance with the provisions of section 4, section 2B, the Norton Charter, acting in my capacity as appointing authority, I've appointed the following individual as assistant water and sewer superintendent. John H. Harrop. Did I pronounce that right, Mr. Harrop?
Harrop, pretty close.
Harrop, I apologize, sir. Said appointment was made on November 10th, 2020 in accordance with the provisions of the Norton Charter and will be effective November 25th, 2020, unless the select board votes to accept or reject the appointment prior to that date. I specifically request the board's acceptance of this appointment be effective date of November 15th, 2020. Please be advised if there are any questions.
Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, thanks. John is here tonight, and I think Frank is also on. Frank, I think, has it been 2 years now, Frank? Pretty close that Frank has been working without an assistant superintendent. And John has been working with him and has been learning both the management angle of things and also all the computer systems in the at the water and sewer department. And John, if you just want to say hello and tell everyone a little bit about your experience and what you've been doing.
Oh yeah, I've been with the department since 2018, and I've been working with Frank pretty closely, probably since I would say early spring, and starting to learn a little of what he does while also maintaining communication with the rest of the group and just trying to assist Frank in a lot of his correspondence and other responsibilities, sampling, such things like that. Kind of hopefully bringing this department into the future and helping with computer things and stuff like that, and I'm really excited.
Thanks, John. Is Frank on?
Yep, can you hear me, guys?
Go ahead, Frank.
Yep, just want to say a few things about John, if you'd let me speak for a couple minutes. John came on, like you said, in 2018. He was hired only with a CDL license. He actually began schooling almost immediately with the waterworks classes that we require. In my 20 years of being here, I've never seen anybody progress through the training classes and acquire licenses as quickly and diligently as John has. Typically, it is something that is dragged out over a process of many years, mainly because the training is very intense. It takes quite a bit of time and more time than you would think in your personal life than it it does just going to classes during the day. The intent is to bring you in as an entry level with what would be a D1 license, and slowly bring you up through the ranks from there. John was able to expedite the process in acquiring his D1, his D2, and his D3, along with his T1 and T2. We actually are a dual classified facility here in Norton, which means operators have to have both certifications, one in distribution and one in treatment. So those are separate licenses, and each one requires separate training and a separate exam that you have to sit for, which is everybody's favorite, to go before the Board of Licensures and sit for a 3-hour exam per test that we take. John has also been able to obtain his 30-hour OSHA safety certification, along with all of those licenses within the 2-year period or so that he's been employed here. I've enjoyed working with John for the short period of time that we've been together. More so lately in the office, getting a lot more of the samples, the documents, everything that hasn't been on the computer have been updated and transferred over to the computer. John has a vast knowledge of the computer system, definitely a lot more than I do. I've learned quite a bit from John in the past year and a half or so. You are right, as Mike, it's been about 2 years now that the position has had a vacancy, and I'm pleased that I would like to bring John in and move him up through the ranks and put him into the position of assistant super, if that's something that you and the board would allow.
Jack, you back?
I think so. Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, you're better.
Yes, sir.
Oh, fantastic. Great. Great. Any other questions from the board?
This is obviously, it's always been in the budget and so forth for the water and sewer. This isn't a new allocation, right? I'm assuming this spot's been there, just been absent for 2 years, correct? Vacant for 2 years.
That's correct. Yeah.
Questions from the board?
No.
None. Chair would entertain. Oh.
No, I was just gonna say, it sounds like, John's a, excellent employee, excellent candidate for this position, and, sounds like he's hardworking and should be, completely up to speed probably tomorrow, but if we, authorize his hire.
All right. Chair would entertain a motion to approve the appointment of John Harrop to the Assistant Water and Sewer Superintendent position.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Motions in a couple seconds, so we're starting off as we usually do. People are just excited to approve.
It's our style, Frank. It's our style, Jack.
Okay, we'll go to the roll call. Meg?
Yes.
Megan?
Aye.
Brad?
Yes.
Renee?
He had me at moving us to the future, so yes.
I too, but congratulations, John. Best of luck in your role.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. All of you. Thank you.
Good luck in
Thank
you.
you.
Congrats, Sean. Good luck.
Thanks. Next up, we have an appointment to the Conservation Commission. We have 3 interested parties. Is that correct, Mike?
Sorry about that. Yeah, we have 3. We're lucky we have 3 residents that have come forward and are interested in the position.
Mr. Town Manager, Mr. Chairman, may I ask a question? We have 1 position. Do we have any, does the Conservation Commission have alternates, and are there any alternates open or anything like that?
The commission does not have alternates, no.
Okay.
Is that something that we could do, Mike? Is that within our ability?
I'll check on that for you. I'm not exactly sure, to be honest.
Okay. So I see we have Kerry Snyder and Matthew Harkins on. I don't know if Tama Vest is on. Didn't see her scrolling through. Let's start with Carrie, if you'd like to share a little bit about why you're interested in joining the board or the commission.
Sure. Thank you very much for having me. So for those who don't know me, my name is Carrie Malloy Snyder. I am very interested in serving on the Conservation Commission. As I indicated in my letter, I'm an attorney. Most of my career has been spent in public policy, most recently in public health and the environment. I'm currently an elected member of the Charter Commission, which is coming to a close, and my day job is as the advocacy director for the Deposit River Watershed Association, or NEPRA. So at NEPRA, I work on a variety of issues, including advocating for responsible development and working closely with municipal staff to develop and implement bylaws and regulations to comply with federal and state permits, reduce polluted stormwater runoff and improve water quality, protect open space, and improve towns' resilience to the impacts of climate change. And in my capacity working on responsible development, I've worked both with conservation commissions in the 14 towns that we cover, as well as directly with developers. I think it's important to get right out in front and talk to developers about sort of what you expect and how you expect responsible development to move forward, particularly in sensitive environmental areas. For example, I worked with the developers of the new Topgolf in Canton, which is going in right by University Station in Westwood. And
It is.
What?
It is.
It's not open yet. It's being built. I'm sure COVID delayed everything, but it's actually it's a redevelopment project in an area of critical environmental concern. And we were able to work directly with them non-confrontationally to get a trail easement for Canton, to remove impervious and to really improve the stormwater treatment over what they had originally proposed. So it's really going to bring back some of the wetlands over there. I've also advocated, when I can't work with developers, I advocate at planning board meetings, conservation commission meetings, and at ZBA hearings. And actually, as a result of some of this work, I actually reached out to Ms. Carlino about a year ago to offer my support to revive a proposal for a local wetlands bylaw so that Norton could sort of assert more control over responsible development here and make sure that as we grow, we're growing in a way that protects our natural resources and supports our efforts to make ourselves resilient to climate change. So like I said, so through this work, I've worked with residents, I've worked with volunteers, elected officials, and I understand the tensions that can arise between development and trying to protect these sensitive areas, and I've been able to work through those tensions. Like I said, so this leads me to my letter of interest. Once I heard about the opening on the Conservation Commission, and I'd be delighted to be appointed. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thanks, Renee?
So Carrie, I just have one question. So with your professional position, do you anticipate any situations where you would need to recuse yourself if you were on the Conservation Commission, or have any sort of conflict?
I don't. We are not in the Neponset River watershed, so I don't anticipate any conflict.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Carrie before we move on to Mr. Harkins? All right. Mr. Harkins, if you'd like to give us a little introduction to yourself.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Matt Harkins. I just moved into Norton late January, so it's happy to be a part of this town. This is kind of one of my first towns on the list, and so here I am. A little bit of background about myself. I'm about 30 years old. I've been in the military for about 12 years. The first 4 years I served in the Marine Corps in the continuing my active duty service in the Air National Guard. Currently on Cape Cod, Massachusetts, working as intelligence analyst. I'm an all-source intelligence analyst and work with quality management. My main job and main position is to communicate and coordinate with external agencies as well as our commanders across and overseas to make sure that our job is being fulfilled in answering the commander's requirements. Although I have very little, if not any experience in the environmental field, but it is something I am pursuing as I conduct my Master's of Public Administration degree. My original degree was in a Bachelor of Arts at Bridgewater State University, and after political science was tailored to international relations. But over the past couple of years, I've kind of decided to look more towards a domestic side of public policy. Let's see. I think that about summarizes it, and if I missed anything, let me know. If you want to hear more, I can talk all day.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you very much. And with Veterans Day being yesterday, thank you very much for your service. And
I appreciate
it. That's great. I think we're spoiled. I don't think we've had two such good candidates for one position.
Yeah.
This is great.
I did forget one thing, sir. I did serve at the Sharon Fishing Game. I was a member there, and I've been a member there since I think it was like 18, maybe even 16. I was a secretary of the board of directors for 6 years. I can't believe I forgot to mention that. So yeah, I do have some experience, very little experience in a very minor case, but it's just something I'm very interested in at this beginning, and I need to get my feet wet somehow. No pun intended with conservation. So here I am, man. Happy to be here.
Mr. Chairman? It's a question for both of the individuals and actually the other individuals in here. If one of you, obviously we have one position, would either of you be open to being an alternate if that is an available position on the board? I got one, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. And Mr. Chairman, do you want me to read the third interested party's email?
Sure. Yeah, great.
Should we ask to make sure that she is not on? Because we do have some dial-ins.
Tama, are you on? Let's see you hiding here. I think you're good, Michael.
Okay. Hello, I'm interested in participating in the Conservation Commission if there's still an opening. For background, I live on Tamara. This is an email from Tamara Best. I apologize. For background, I live at 16A James Street, and our property includes some acres of conservation land. Professionally, I am a product stewardship manager at local non-women's manufacturer. My job includes review of chemical and environmental regulations across the globe to ensure that our products meet all the standards when used in important end applications like medical masks and air filters. I oversee the FSC, the Forest Stewardship Council certification, which assures that our cellulose-based raw materials are ethically and responsibly sourced. I have a strong interest in the environmental issues and a bachelor's degree from BU in biology with a marine science concentration. Additionally, I participate in the Land Preservation Society of Norton, although I have not been very active recently due to a range of factors. Now I am able to work from home and I have more time to volunteer and would like an opportunity to participate in the Conservation Commission if there is room. Thank you. Thanks, Tama.
I'd like to amend my earlier comment about having two qualified candidates to now three qualified candidates. This is an embarrassment of riches we are not often fortunate to have. So this is great. Open it up for discussion amongst the board.
It's having people that volunteer, that are wanting to volunteer. Back to your point, Jack. This is we don't find ourselves in this situation often. I've actually, and Matthew, I apologize. I've worked with Terry on several and so forth within town volunteering opportunities. She's been very, very good. I'm pretty sure Matthew's experience and will is equal as well. So we're in a tough situation here.
I think it's a good situation to be in, though.
Absolutely.
Definitely better than some of the others where we have openings for quite some time.
Is Jen Corlino on?
Didn't see it.
So I think this was discussed at the Conservation Commission meeting too, right? And a recommendation provided. Mike, can you speak to that?
Yep. It was. I asked the Conservation Commission, they met Monday night, and I asked them if they had an opinion on who they thought would be best for the commission. And I think they did provide an email to the board that Jen Reed shared with you on their recommendation.
I just got the packet up, but I don't
It's not
see
in
it
the
in here.
packet.
Okay.
It
was separate. I can't get my email open. Can someone
I'm looking for
someone
it.
read that if you wouldn't mind? And I should maybe, Jack, we just preface too, one of the conversations we had several months ago, so you guys are aware, is to engage the commission or the committee when there's an opening, just to solicit feedback so that we were more informed about making the decision.
Yes.
I have it up.
I have it open too. If Jack, you want to read it, or do you want me to?
Sure, I'll go for it. This is from Jen Carlino, the conservation agent. We discussed it last night. The commission felt that the person with the most is Carrie Malloy Snyder. She's already well versed in what conservation commissions do, as well as all the state and local initiatives that would make it easy for her to hit the ground running. We absolutely appreciate the other candidates' interest, and we'll reach out to them for other ways they can be involved.
My recommendation also to the Conservation Commission would be, if it doesn't break or violate our bylaws or our charter, that if there's there seems to be a trend going forward with the alternates and several appointed committees, and I think it's a nice fit because it keeps a continuity of the committees going. So if that's an option, I would love to see that, and have Matthew and Tom up, maybe appointed to as alternates. Depending on the election, depending on the turnout. Vote.
I agree. Since I think we're trying to respect the Concom's input there, Chair would entertain a motion to appoint Carrie Malloy Snyder to the Conservation Commission.
So moved.
Second.
And a second, any further discussion?
I'll just add to that. I mean, I think Carrie brings to the commission a lot of experience, and Jen indicated she can hit the ground running. I mean, she's well versed in this area. I know Matthew, you said that you didn't have any environmental experience, but I think even if there isn't an opportunity to be designated an alternate, you can still attend the meetings and learn as you go, because there certainly are changes within commissions periodically. I don't remember the last time that we had a change in the Conservation Commission, but I think it's been, Jack, remind me, I think it's been since we've been on, so it's been within the last year and a half.
I think so.
So there are always opportunities there coming up, and I'll just put a dig into if anybody's interested in the Economic Development Commission. There's an opening there as well.
I knew you were going down that road.
I know.
I saw it coming down 123.
I was trying to wait, but since I moved it.
I hear it's difficult to get along with some of the members on that.
Yeah, I don't think Michael's going to be on very much longer. I'm kidding.
Wow, holy moly.
That was a poke at me. I had to redirect.
I poke in general.
Thanks, Brad.
I think the
I show no favoritism.
I think the key takeaway there for Mr. Harkins is that there's a number of areas of opportunity to get involved. I think having someone such as yourself interested in contributing is fantastic. I think I have your email in our packet. If it's all right with you, I'd like to reach out along with town manager and see if there's any other openings that you might be interested in, like the Economic Development Commission, and whatever else we have out there. If you're interested in that, we can talk. I'd like to definitely get you engaged.
Yes, sir. I'm here just to get my foot in the door. I was not expecting all this today. I won't lie to you. It's just the sheer experience I'm up against is like, oh, okay, yeah. Hey, however I can help, guys, I'm well open to providing any type of need or facilitating any of it. So, yeah, do please let me know. Keep me informed. I'll be here. I work a weird schedule, so.
So, Mr. Harkins, in the military, when they asked for volunteers, didn't they teach you to step back? You're supposed to step back. No, forget about forward. You're supposed to step back because you said you'd volunteer. We're going to find a position for you.
Unfortunately, I lead from the front.
And there we go, sir.
Excellent answer.
And yeah, it's my philosophy, I guess.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Jack, I think we have a motion, and I don't think we've finished the vote.
Have not done the vote yet, so we'll into that. Meg?
I'll vote for Carrie. I'll defer to the commission. So.
Okay. Michael?
Aye.
Brad?
Yes.
Renee?
Yes.
And I too vote yes. Carrie, thank you very much. Congratulations. Matthew, thank you very much for this, and we'll be in touch.
All right. Thank you very much.
Hey, congratulations, Gary. I appreciate this. You'll do fine. You'll do well.
Thanks, Matt. I'm sure I'll see you.
Yeah, I hope so.
Thank you both.
Taking a look at the time, it is 7 o'clock. Mike should come to the tax classification hearing.
Yeah, if you can make a motion to open the hearing.
Chair would entertain a motion.
So moved.
There we go.
So moved.
Do we have a second? Okay. Do we need to do a roll call, Mike?
No.
Okay.
Well, yeah, you do any vote because we're online.
Okay. So we're voting to open the public hearing. Meg?
Yes.
Michael?
Aye.
Brad?
Yes.
Renee?
Yes.
And I too vote yes. So public hearing is now open. Take it away, town manager.
Okay. I believe Denise Ellis is on, and I know that Denise wanted to ask you for an extension, or excuse me, a continuance of the hearing until your next meeting on the 19th. Is Denise on? Maybe she could not.
She is. She just needs to unmute herself.
Oh, okay.
Denise?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We can now.
Now.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, so I am asking for continuance with COVID. So the software company that does all our commercial work has been behind. And because of that, and because the state's behind, we would not get our numbers in on time. So I'm asking for a continuance till next week, I believe, and hopefully we'll have everything together by then.
So Denise, can I just ask, I know last year we were kind of up against the gun as well, right? I think we had the meeting actually in maybe around the same time, that maybe the 22nd or 23rd. Can you kind of just walk us through the time frame with this delay and what impact it may have?
It shouldn't have any impact at all. It all depends on how we can what town gets in there first. So we should be fine. As long as we get all our numbers in by the beginning of the week, we'll hear back. It's going to be a tight schedule, but it's always a tight schedule. But it won't have any impact on it at all. It shouldn't, because we'll still have plenty of time to get for the next steps to get the tax rate approved in time. So we should be good.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other discussion? I have no issue with continuance until next Thursday. All right. So Chair would entertain a motion to continue the tax classification public hearing until, say, 7 o'clock on Thursday, November 19th, 2020.
So moved.
All right.
Second that.
All right. Meg?
Yes.
Bill?
Aye.
Brad?
Yes.
Renee?
Yes.
And I too vote yes. So that is continued. Thank you very much, Denise. Appreciate it.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
And just so everyone knows, 7 o'clock, you meet next Thursday, correct?
Yes.
And so we'll probably do this at 7:15.
Okay. Do we need to amend the motion or? we good?
No, that's fine, as long as I.
Sounds good. Chair would entertain a motion to close the public hearing. Or do we close it or we just continue it?
You just continued it.
Okay. So we're good. It's all this minutia stuff.
I know.
All right. Shortest tax classification hearing ever. Which now moves us on to, we'll go back to announcements. I see that there's one for knife sharpening, but I believe that was this past weekend.
Yeah, I've got several announcements here from different boards, different departments in town, Mr. Chairman.
Yep, take it away, Mike.
Okay. The first is that Parks and Recs is collecting gift cards of any amount to help the Norton veterans in need of the holiday season. If you're interested in donating, please send your donation to Parks and Rec, Sharon Rice at NPNR. Estelle Fleck in the Veterans Office will be distributing them to those in need in the coming weeks. This is important, especially during this time. It's important that if individuals want to help, that this is a great way to kind of help during the holiday season.
Can I just ask a question? I don't know, Mike, if you can speak to this, but is there a reason why we're sending these to Parks and Rec and not veterans? And if somebody does send it to the Veterans Office, will it not be collected?
No, that's fine. They'll coordinate.
I think the program is being coordinated by Parks and Rec, Renee.
Okay.
Either way, I think either department is fine. So they work very closely with us, you know.
Right. Thank you.
Also, there are two things that the Council on Aging has. There's a virtual jazz concert on Zoom this week, and it's listed on the website. It's sponsored by the Norton Cultural Council and the Council of Aging. Friday, November 13th at 1 p.m. by Zoom. All are welcome to join. And there is a link that will be on the flyer. We've learned this lesson. I am not going to read the link. So it is available, but just so you know, it's this Friday at 1 p.m. There's a jazz concert being hosted by the Cultural Council and the Norton Mass. Also, wanted to recognize, and Mike, maybe you can elaborate on this a little bit more, but there was a grant that the Council on Aging applied for, and we were able to receive for fuel assistance, natural gas fuel assistance grant. Mike, are you ready to talk? Can you talk about that a little bit more, or are you guys just working on the details on that?
I'm just working on the details still, but you know, as you bring it up, anyone that is in need of fuel assistance, if you could contact the Council on Aging and speak to them. They're there to help you, and the season is open now, obviously, and so they are there to help you.
Also, and this is the final announcement I have, if people are in need with help this Thanksgiving, the Council of Aging is taking names, and they are collecting names for Thanksgiving dinners. Also, it's Medicare open enrollment time, Medicaid open enrollment time. And so people want to review their current Part D, they can speak to the Council on Aging. And they also have assistance and information on fuel assistance. Council on Aging's phone number is 508-285-0235. And that's what I have, Mr. Chairman.
Excellent. Thank you, Michael. Any other announcements from the board? None, we will move on. So back into new business, we have discussion on removal of the building at Reed and Barton, Elm Street and Cross Street. So Mike, would you like to introduce this? Do you want me to?
You can, Jack. I think were you contacted first? Yeah, go ahead.
So we were contacted by, I'm going to mispronounce your last name and I do apologize, Cheryl Guinan?
Guinan, yep.
Guinan, nice score. Last week, maybe the week before, she is a resident in the area of Reed and Barton and wanted to discuss with the board if there's any plans or ability to remove the building as it's becoming increasingly an eyesore and a concern for a lot of the neighbors. So there's a neighborhood group that has formed to discuss this. So we welcome you all to the board this evening, and if you'd like to kind of tell us how you feel, Cheryl.
So I'm Cheryl Guinan. I've lived here for 25 years. I'm an original homeowner here on Talbot Drive. I can tell by a bunch of the names on here, we've got probably about 30 people that are part of the coalition, representing about 126 homes, and that just started like a week or two ago, kind of forming this coalition. So I'm getting 1 or 2 emails a day. So I think people are really invested in this. We basically have 2 goals, and I think people can chime in and if they have any questions or concerns, but basically we really need a guarantee from the EPA. I know they're still out there removing the oil, but we've been told by the building inspector not to drink our water, not to use it. So that's a huge concern. We'd like something from the EPA or the town at some point to say that our water source is safe. That's really concerning. We've had, definitely some issues with that. So that's our goal. And then our second goal is really to just find out the funding. We really need funding for the final and complete demo of the building and the cleanup of the site, with a time frame. So, what is the process for that? I was told by the building inspector a month ago when I inquired about it that, basically the funds are gone, EPA is out there, and it's just going to sit there for years and years and years. And honestly, it's just completely unacceptable. It really decreases all of our property values. One of the people on here is an appraiser. So we really have people that are talking about, 20% of our property value going down. Our water's unsafe, and it really just is an eyesore. It's dangerous. So we just need to know where we can get the funding and what is the process for that funding.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question?
What?
This is news to me regarding, could you elaborate on the water issues over there? So is it just with on Talbot Drive? Is it on Cross Street? What's the extent of that? This is the first time hearing about water issues on that around this project. I mean, drinking water. I should say drinking waters around this project. I understand the environmental waters issues.
Are you asking me or somebody on the board? I'm sorry.
You.
Okay. I can only tell you that our door was knocked on about 2 years ago by the state EPA to discuss the fact that there were contaminants out there in the water supply. They went in with hazmat suits and took that out. They're now removing oil. I know from speaking to somebody who actually does this for a living that really it's the flow down of the water. So I know EPA has come out and tested 2 of my neighbors, but it's my understanding that because, I'm sort of actually uphill from the site, but the water flows down. So you're talking about Bog Iron, CVS, Wheaton, even the town hall are probably in water sources that are runoffs from this, and contamination is from that. That's what I've been told, and the EPA is still testing water. That's all I actually know. So I don't want to say it still is unsafe, but I think there's definitely issues. I feel unsafe. There's been 4 stage 3, stage 4 cancers in our neighborhood out of 21 homes with 2 deaths, one at the age of 37, one at the age of 48. And so to be told not to drink the water, not to use your well is extremely concerning. And, I want to sell someday. I'm sure plenty of our neighbors do too. And if the research is done on this, I can't imagine a huge decrease in our property values.
And so, okay, now I think and I'm assuming their advisory is on any of the wells that are in that area.
I believe it's the well. I know half of my neighborhood, again, 21 homes, we were put on wells, and half are town water. We were split when we did this development 25 years ago. I don't know how many homes out of the 126 are on well, but that's where the water source is. So it's not just the demo, although that's the big issue. It's also making sure that we are safe in our community.
Thank you.
Mike, is there somebody on that can give an update? Because I thought that the water testing was fine, but I also remember hearing something about water coming from Mansfield, that there's some contamination there. But I mean, I definitely see the number one issue is the safety of the water.
I think I'm only speculating here, but when Cheryl said that they knocked on her door, all I can imagine is that was in the first year when EPA was out there, and they had a break in the barrier that they had holding the soil back. So out of a precaution, they probably went down to the houses abutting the river at that time and cautioned people about that. And as far as the wells, I haven't heard anything back on the 2 wells that the EPA tested on Talbot Drive yet. All the wells that were tested on Elm Street were okay. And we're still waiting for the report from the engineers with the $100,000 grant we got for the site assessment. We're still waiting for the final report on that. They have put a series of monitoring wells around the area and did tests, and we're waiting to see what their final results are.
When's that expected?
And like I said, that was our number one goal, is just to get some assurance down the road. I'm not implying that the water is unsafe. They may have cleaned that up, but I just think that just as they knocked on our doors and told us it was unsafe, and the building inspector from the town has told us that, I think at some point we just want reassurance that it is safe. The bigger concern is that this building needs to be taken down and the site cleaned up. It literally, if you haven't driven by it, it looks like we live in the ghetto.
If I'm not mistaken, didn't we speak of the fact that we were trying for another grant in the neighborhood of $800,000 towards removal of the building, or part of the building anyways? And that's part of the reason we didn't take ownership was because if we owned the property, we owned the problem, where if the town did not own it, we were able to seek federal or state grants to pay for the removal of the building itself. I could be wrong, but that's my understanding.
That's my recollection as well, Brad.
Yeah, Brad, you're right. So the building that we did take down along Cross Street was taken down because it was an imminent hazard to fall on Cross Street. So we didn't, that didn't put any ownership on our part on the property. The other buildings that were taken down by the EPA, the other portions. And we have put in for a grant for $800,000. I know Paul's worked on that. And it's expected probably not until the summer that we hear on that.
Paul's on, Mike, if you didn't see him.
But we aren't giving up on it. We are exploring avenues of funding to complete the project. It's going to probably be a bit piecemeal, and we'd rather do it all at once and get the whole thing taken care of and make it look nice. But I think we are attempting to find sources to remove that entire building eventually.
And the EPA is up to about $3 million so far that they've spent on cleanup at the site.
And Paul did reach out. We have a Zoom meeting on Monday night for him to talk to us about that grant. He's probably going to need the coalition's help with that, and I'm all for that. But I'm told that the cost to remove everything in the site is going to be higher than that, first of all. And then I was also told that, it's very hard to get any additional funding if we use all that grant money and there's still demo and site cleanup, that, you know, we basically need a redevelopment plan. It needs to be something. And the town hall and the senior center was supposed to be there, and that getting shot down, now you don't have a redevelopment plan, and now it's going to be very hard to find additional funding for that. So I just feel like, yes, I think the grant sounds promising. I was excited about that, but I just think that, you know, what do we do after that? What's the plan?
Yes, this is Paul Durkin. I'm on 7 Talbot Drive. My background is environmental cleanup. It sounds, I don't have all the background reports on this, and we've got the meeting with Paul on Monday, and maybe we can review that. But until you take down the building, you don't know what you have there. EPA can come in, do sampling. It might not be moving. From what I understand, the discharges were into a lagoon. So mapping out basically the down gradient plumes of the contamination. I mean, you've got basically TCE, PCE, and then with the asbestos, you're just, without taking the building down, that's just going to deteriorate and throw asbestos into the environment. So we're going to be breathing that every time a wind comes down. I know I'd like to see some of these reports. Do we have this documentation and there's an assessment being done? And when is that, the results from that?
Chair, can I answer his question?
Please go ahead.
Hi, Paul. I'm Paul DiGiuseppe. I'm the planning director. We do actually have a lot of pollution. We have a number of pollution reports and some initial assessment work that we can make available to you. It's all public information. We spoke with our environmental consultant today regarding the current assessment they're doing. He believes they should have the report done before the end of the year. And once that's ready, that'll be available for the public to read as well.
Okay, who's doing the work?
CEC, Environmental.
Where are they out of?
I think they're out of Raynham.
Okay.
They're southeastern Mass, though.
And they've been involved on that site for quite a while.
A few years.
So,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am.
No, I mean, my old company used to make chlorinated solvents, so I'm very familiar with the breakdown products. I can see some of the sampling, or basically the analytical results, but where it's gone, and I just don't see much sampling taking place. So the direction can vary quite a bit. Sources have to be identified, and the only way you really identify sources is to take down the building, because pockets of active product could be still on site. You can put unless you basically put a sample well on almost every location throughout a site, you're not really going to know what's there on a historical older building.
Mr. Chairman, to address this, when the town funded that portion, I think the main reason they decided to take that building down was not environmental. I know the EPA was concerned about many things. It was more of a safety issue. And that's how the town can impress on a privately owned property, is only on safety. If I'm not safety, and obviously, I know there's probably other ways to do that, but we do not own this building, correct?
Correct, and this is sort of the fundamental problem that we have, is that there is technically no owner to this site. Reed and Barton went bankrupt. As part of their bankrupt proceedings, they left, I think, somewhere around $300,000 for site remediation. Clearly, that is about 10% of what has been spent to date, and it's not done. So it was criminally underfunded, in my opinion. Since that time, the town has been trying to find ways to deal with this as best they can, while at the same time doing our best to not make sure that we are assuming liability for a site that has been operating as I think it was a silver plating area for a while. We, like you said, Mr. Durkin, we don't know what's there until we go underneath. So speaking for myself, and I think Renee was on the board at the time, any sort of, if the town steps in on that, becomes our problem. And we become liable to pay back the EPA the $3 million spent to date. It's a very tricky and fine line to walk, which is why we're trying to do everything at arm's reach while still going after grants, everything that's available to us. Paul, the former building inspector, found a number of opportunities for grants. Unfortunately, those are all competitive. So as you can imagine, as town budgets get tighter, it becomes even more competitive for the limited amount of funds that the state has. So I'm very thankful for what they've been able to do so far and been able to identify. Unfortunately, I don't see that there's going to be a quick resolution. I believe, if I think back to what Mr. Carmichael had once provided, and Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, I think to take down the entire remaining structure that's there was somewhere north of 1.4 million.
Correct, Jack. And so the new building commissioner, Nick, is had one company in already, and he's getting more companies in to get an up-to-date price to take down the remaining building.
And then once that's down, to your earlier point, we don't know what type of contamination is there. At one point, the EPA seemed very confident that they had found the sources, which were 2 underground fuel storage tanks, which is why they took down, I think it was a smokestack and 2 of the buildings on the interior to be able to get access to those and excavate them and get the soils. To be honest, we haven't gotten an update on this for quite some time. I don't know if they found any additional sources of contamination on the ground, Mike. I don't know if you're aware, or Paul.
Paul?
Well, EPA is still removing oil. They removed, as you know, recently they removed a section of a couple of buildings, and one of those was the boiler room. And right near there were 2 very large tanks. They have found oil there. They're actually now trying to get funding to remove the, there are 2 silos that look like grain silos, with silos that are right there that they're going to remove, and they'll dig that out. And they're expecting to be done with their work by the end of the year. And then we still have this assessment that CEC is doing that we will, again, that will be done at the end of the year as well, and then we'll present that to the board and the public. And that's for this phase. Again, we've also applied this year for another $100,000 grant to do further assessment.
So I don't know if that helps in any way. I think you can hear that this is definitely a concern for all of us here, and the town is still trying to diligently find a way forward to take care of this. The water situation is definitely concerning to me. You mentioned, Cheryl, that the building inspector told you not to drink the water. That's the first that I've heard any advisement like that. We were told explicitly, I think last year, maybe a year and a half ago, that the water in and around that area was fine. But Mike, if we can find some documentation to support that and share that with Cheryl and her neighbors, I think that would be critical at this point.
Jack, I think it's it's glaring, and I've said this a million times, is the Water Commission's decision to remove that water machine in town. It sounds like there's still residents. I know for a fact residents on town water need it. This is one of those areas where we're still challenges our town with our drinking water. And in my opinion, the Water Commission is ignoring this.
I support that opinion. And I think that we have a clear need. I think we've had a clear need to provide water to people, clean water.
It's unexcusable. It's one of the basic requirements of a town, and they just don't seem to acknowledge that.
Jack, to your question on the wells, that's also the first time I've ever heard anything like that. I know I have not heard that from CEC or the DEP. I know DEP was testing those wells. I have not heard any report back on any issues yet.
And Paul, did you say the meeting Monday that CDC is going to be there? Is it John or somebody else?
No, we're not. No, in fact, I talked with Cheryl this afternoon. This is really, Monday will be more of trying to, just a first meeting. But we do envision that CEC will need to be involved in it. But right now, it'll be more about hearing what their issues are, what their questions are. I'm sure, there are going to be plenty of questions that I can't answer, but we'll record them. Then we'll get those to the experts. Probably a lot will go to CEC. Then we'll have another meeting with the coalition later on.
If we could, I was going to say, if we could, with the contacts with FDA and the Mass Department of Public Health and anyone else who's involved in this, could we get some feedback regarding the potential contamination of well water and how much of a concern that should be? Was that it?
Right, and they're supposed to be dedicated. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we'll be coordinating with DEP to get that, the monitoring results, the well water results. And then, first, again, meeting with the group, we can get all their questions. That'll help us align the experts to answer whatever questions Nick and I can't answer that night. So if we we know that that's a serious issue with the wells, so we're going to keep reaching out to the DEP contact and find out what's going on.
Thank you for that.
And Paul, would you be able to send me the invite for Monday? I'd like to sit in and attend and show my support.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would as well. I'm actually in that area, so I'm actually concerned as well.
You're trying to say you're vested, Meg.
Yes, I'm very vested. And I drive by that site. It's not only an eyesore, but it's actually scary. If any kids ever get into that area, I mean, there's a big pile.
The only saving grace is that beautiful blue crane that lives on that pond. That's the only thing that's beautiful about that area.
We call him George, and I think he died.
Oh, come on. Really, Cheryl, really?
Didn't mean to ruin your night, but I think he's a goner. I haven't seen him in a long time. But I agree, like I said, it's not only an eyesore, it's just dangerous. And I have no problem working with Paul. I'm so glad he's willing to meet with us, and hopefully we can get, like I said, everybody's questions answered and these grants come through. But, I think if the grants don't come through, something needs to be done. And I know they haven't paid taxes. We can take it as a tax lien. I know we might be on the loop for some of that money, but maybe now we have a conservation lawyer. It sounds like that Carrie, that you just, joined Norton, maybe she can work to get those, get them to release us on that, to make sure we don't have any liability if we can take ownership of it. If we take ownership of it, we could have a redevelopment plan. So I'm hopeful, and, I know our coalition is more than willing to work with you guys, and we've got to get this cleaned up, because it's just going to be a real issue for anybody in this area who wants to sell anytime soon.
Totally understand, Cheryl, and appreciate you guys coming and raising the concerns to this level, and appreciate Paul coordinating with you guys. And we're here to support as best we can. We're not going to give up trying to find a way to make this go away.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Any other public comments or any other comments from the board?
Jack, I'm just wondering, I know, we have 2 new members since we last talked about this with town council in executive session. I'm wondering if we plan, maybe not the next meeting, but the meeting after, to bring him back, just so everybody's up to speed on, the impact and kind of why we're in the position we are. I know we can't openly talk about some of that, but it would be good at least for them to be aware.
Absolutely. So I took down a few key actions for next steps. So first and foremost is validating the water safety. So Mike, if you can work with DEP and EPA to find any current reports that are out there for the well status, or even ask whoever the property manager is out there to provide some sort of assurance that the water is actually safe. And if it's not safe, we can take that from there. We have the Monday meeting with Paul, and then Cheryl, if it's okay with you, I'd like to reach out on a regular basis and just check in. We can see how things are going.
That'd be great.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you to you and your neighbors for joining us this evening, and looking forward to working with you.
Thanks.
Excuse me.
Moving on, the next item was to be the marijuana retailer presentations and EPCA. Renee has indicated that there's a late-breaking conflict with one or more of the presenters, so that's going to be rescheduled. Is that accurate?
It is going to be rescheduled. We're just not through the final negotiations with all the applicants.
Okay.
Oh, so let's actually talk about that. So town council will be joining us for the meeting. So I have a couple potential dates next week. We do expect to complete the final negotiation tomorrow, so we should be fine meeting these dates if the board is available. So the first date was Tuesday. Hold on, I'm on the wrong. Tuesday the 17th. She is free and available to meet with us that evening at 6:30 or 7, depending on our choosing. And then additionally, she can meet with us on Thursday the 19th, but it would have to be an early meeting if she has a hearing at 7 that night. So we'd have to meet probably 5:30 would be best to allow adequate time for us to have the discussion with her after the presentation.
Thursday at 5:30 with the 19th at 5:30 would be better for me.
I can make whatever one.
Thanksgiving?
You mentioned that I do have some conflicts next week, but if possible, I will attend. But I don't feel comfortable giving you a date and then have you work around it.
Either date works for me. So if the preference is to keep it to our regular meeting night and just start at 5:30, if that's okay. You want to do that? And understanding that Brad might have schedule conflict.
Jack, is this a separate meeting or is this part of our select board meeting?
I think it's going to have to be part of our select board meeting, so we'll have to start over.
Okay.
It'll only be a separate meeting if we do it on Tuesday, Michael.
Okay.
You wearing an ascot? I'm sorry, I'm just looking at is that a scarf, Michael?
No, it's a jacket, Jack.
He has on a collared shirt.
Yeah, I haven't seen one of those in a really long time.
yes. I actually put a tie on Jack yesterday. It was I put a tie on the whole thing. It was very...
Apologize for the distraction, but there was a depth perception issue there. I thought he was wearing the pirate shirt from Seinfeld.
So we're going to go with Thursday, and we'll start the meeting at 5:30.
Yes.
And Brad, I mean, again, if we can't get the whole board together, we can move this after Thanksgiving.
I just it's a timely thing, and I will make every effort to be there. It's just that I am scheduled for surgery the following morning at 5:30 in Boston in the morning. So I'm not sure how friendly I'm going to be after 6 o'clock. I don't know if my nerves will hold out through Thursday night.
Yeah, it's what? No eating, no drinking.
I don't know. All I know is, as long as I can take my tranquilizers, I'll be all set.
Sounds good. So let's stick with Thursday, 5:30.
Okay, great. Thank you, guys. I'll make sure everybody's aware.
Thank you, Renee. I see anything under old business. So move on to town manager's report. We have an update on the CARES Act coronavirus relief funds.
Yeah, I provided you with the information. Right now, we have spent, we've put in for $1,043,000 out of our 1.7 million with the CARES Act funding. The majority is for distance learning and also working from home, things that were needed for that. Then PPE and also things for disinfecting and separation barriers, and also in the schools, filters for their air systems to try and improve on the air quality in the schools. And so we still have some money we can use, and we have until December 30th to expend that money.
And as I understand it, Mike, at this point, any future funds that come from this are considered reimbursements, so the town will need to outlay the funds and then request the money back from the government.
Correct. So we'll have to be sure that any funds that we spend, that we make sure it's on items that are clearly covered by the funding.
Any questions from the board on CARES Act funds? I think for my benefit, Mike, I'm curious to know how we compare with sort of our peer communities in terms of the funding that we received and how we're spending it. Just out of curiosity to see if there's other communities doing things differently, or you could reach out to your network and see if they can provide a breakdown on that, even at a high level, similar to what you did, distance learning, work from home support, PPE supplies.
Sure, we'll do that. And Brad, I just wanted to show Brad, I did put mine on a big spreadsheet so I could see it, Brad. I know you can't read that.
Mr. Chairman, I did ask the town manager to look into one of the things that's concerned for the Council on the Aging, Parks and Rec, and just some other departments is as we go into a colder time of winter, usage of space. The town manager is going to look to see if we've identified an area in town that we might be able to get for that short time to end in April that would allow us more space for programming on some of these events that we wouldn't be renting the space unless it was COVID related. So I know Mike's looking into the qualification of that. Correct, Mike, that's kind of did you get an answer on that yet or no?
I have not.
Okay. Well, can you clarify what you mean by that, Michael? Is that
Yeah, so what I mean by that is we obviously know certain areas we've been able to utilize outside for programming because of COVID. Specifically for the Council on Aging, some of their programs as we go into the building that's currently there, they can only have 4 people in the building in their recreation area. So one of the ideas that I had was reaching out to Great Woods Marketplace and where we had the early voting and see if we can extend a licensing fee for short term from now until maybe April, where they might be able to use, as the town might be able to use it for many different uses and departments. But the question is, does the CARES Act money, does this qualify within that funding mechanism? Because obviously budgets are tight, but if it is there, this would relieve a lot of the programming that those departments use. They would have a place to do their programming, and specifically for the senior center, Parks and Rec, and other services for the town. That we know we're going to need space.
All right. Thank you for the update, Mike. Appreciate that.
Just give you an update on the West Main Street sewer project. The schools are now tied into the sewer system, the Yale and the high school. And right now, the work that's being done out there now is work preparing for the winter. So there'll be saw cutting along the main trunk line of the sewer, and also where all the laterals were put in to the properties. They have to excavate down 7 inches and replace that with 7 inches of asphalt over the winter. That'll sit, and then they'll come back in the spring and they'll mill the entire roadway and repave.
And Mike, when are they expected to finish that 7 inches of work for the prep?
I would bet it's going to go into probably the first week of December. I don't know if Frank's still on. He could give a better idea, but it looks like from the way things are progressing that it's going to take close to that first week of September.
I thought they had told us before they needed to stop at Thanksgiving.
I think that was.
I thought it was November 1st.
I thought it was 15.
They told us they were going to be done the state said they had to be done by Thanksgiving, and now it's December, which I'm sure surprises.
I mean, it has nothing to do with the 70-degree days that we've had for the last week.
It's ending. It's all coming to an abrupt end today.
So I believe they probably did not want any excavation going on beyond Thanksgiving, but I know they want that road in a better condition for the winter, the state.
So are there plans to make that more drivable? You know, you and I have spoken offline about that, about having the local DOT guy drive down 123 to get to town hall, and when he stops shaking when he gets there, it should be outside.
That's why they're requiring them to excavate down 7 inches and replace all that material with 7 inches of asphalt. So it will smooth it out.
Mr. Town Manager, you've made Mr. Conway buy a second Jeep.
Right, because of the bouncing.
Yep.
So, Mike, Frank is still on. I don't know if he can provide us with some specifics around that. Okay. Frank?
You're muted.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Yeah, the updates from the contractor. Originally, the deadline is going to be still the 15th. What that deadline is basically they cannot excavate any new trenches in the area based on a Mass DOT permit. That does not put a limit on them doing surface reclamation, which is replacing the curbs, cementing those in, and excavating the trenches and doing the what's called the permanent trench pave. As Mike alluded to, they dig down 7 inches after doing a 1 foot cutback on the either side of the existing trench and the laterals. They level off and compact any areas that had settled that were unforeseen, and they put in 7 inches of mix. There's a small section that was done. They started that the beginning of the week. They ran into an issue with a broken paving equipment Tuesday afternoon. I'm not sure if anybody was stuck in the traffic there. It went to just about 7 o'clock, I believe, by the time they were able to complete that. There is probably, for a guesstimate, I'm thinking that they're probably about 500 feet in on the total project of just under 4,000 feet that needs to be paved. So they have the permission by the state permit to continue. Obviously, weather could be a big factor. We've been very lucky so far with limited rain and snow. The state inspector is out there on a random occasion. He is going to drive the trench when there is enough new pavement down to make any indication to make sure that it is safe and plowable, because that section is plowed by the state. We should be hearing from him once it's a little bit more down. The majority of that road still has the temporary pave, which everybody seems to unfortunately call the roller coaster, which I can't agree more. And the reason for putting the 7 inches of pavement in and letting it sit over the winter is to make sure that any unforeseen voids and settling will be taken care of. The contractor is on the hook to come out during the winter if there are any low spots or sinkholes that are deemed unsafe. And then in the spring, we believe it's going to be probably late April or May. They have to come back out. They actually will either do it themselves or hire a contractor like they did on 140. They'll come back out. They'll mill 2 to 4 inches off of that roadway, depending on DEP's determination. The lane that has the sewer main will be a full lane width pave, which would be center line to curb. DEP at the time, DOT, will determine the other side where the laterals go across. Depending on the spacing between them, they may require full lane width paved there, so you don't have small patches every so often, or they may choose to allow the patches and have the road finished that way. It's completely up to Mass DOT and the inspectors on the job as far as what they need to do. The contractor is following the means and methods of the permit. They were actually out there. They had a variance to work on Veterans Day to try and keep moving along. But I think the contractor has stated to us they feel there's a good possibility they could be done by the 20th, which would be next Friday. We believe, more like Mike has said as I spoke to him earlier, that it's probably going to roll sometime into the first week of December, the way things have been going and the pace that they're going at and the traffic that's been involved, not including weather.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Frank, for the update.
Welcome.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments on that? I will just say I'm very glad that they're coming out and going to level that off a bit. It's that is bumpy rock. I would not want to be a plow operator on that street.
No.
All right. Excellent. Next we have setting a date for a town election.
Yeah, I just wanted you to start thinking about that. Lucia had came to my office the other day and reminder that we have to set it by January 1st, and just wanted you to start thinking about it. I know in April we do have Easter, and the end of Passover is on Sunday the 4th, and Patriots Day is on Monday the 19th. So just some of the dates to think about. And at a future meeting, you can set the date. I don't know why she's already looking for another election. I would have thought she had enough with this one.
Because she's the machine at this point.
She is. She has it down pat. She doesn't want to lose momentum. I mean, let's do it in 30 days. Is there a reason we can't vote tonight? Because I think based on what you said, we're stuck on like Saturday the 10th.
Right. Well, that's what it looks like, yeah.
Is Lucia on?
I did see her.
Oh, I see her too.
Hi, hello.
Oh.
Hey, Lucia.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Really, I think all we've got for April is the 10th, between Easter and school vacation, which is still in question according to Wade. And Patriots Day, the 10th, is all we have left.
All right. Well.
So you can have any day in April as long as it's the 10th.
What would the hours be, Lucia? 9 to 3?
Yeah, I think we're probably going to be looking at a big town election. I'd be willing to go earlier, but I wouldn't go later than 3. I think that the Charter Commission is going to be on there, correct?
Correct.
Charter Commission, and also if Town Hall and the Council on Aging building, I think that are we going to have the debt exclusion on that? I don't know.
That hasn't been decided yet.
Okay, all right.
I guess that would depend when is, I think town meeting is after this date, right? So that has to move through town meeting first.
Oh, it does, okay.
Can I ask the question?
It actually can go either way. It can go
Right.
election or town meeting, whichever.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
I guess the issue is town meeting is where you discuss it, right? It's somebody, I mean, you know, we can have meetings before then, but the difficult thing is, are they as informed as they would be if we held it before town meeting than if we held it after?
So I think my understanding is that, as Mike said, it can go either way. We could do it at polls, and if it passes, then it goes to town meeting. Even if it doesn't, we could bring it up at town meeting and then do a special election for that. So I think
So we should let it ride and vote on it first to see what improvements may need to be made?
Well, I mean, technically, I would think that the election would be first, considering that the town election is Article 1 of the town meeting. So, to me, you would do Article 1 first.
I'm missing something, I'm sorry.
I guess I get neurotic about.
No, I think we're saying, Brad, that if we do put a debt exclusion on for town hall and senior center, even if it fails at the polls, say on April 10th, it doesn't mean that it can't go back on at a later point if it passes at town meeting.
Oh no, I agree. I'm just saying that I don't think it's imperative that we have the town. No, I was getting the sense at one point where there was a feeling that we should have the town meeting vote first because we could talk about it more. And I was just saying that while that might be true, technically town election is the first article of the town meeting. So to me it makes sense. And this past year was totally screwed up. But usually the town meeting or the town election occurs before the town meeting. That's all.
I guess that was one of my questions. Is it mandatory that we always have the election before the town meeting? To me, it's always seemed kind of backwards, that you should always have the town meeting and then election. But I don't, am I missing something or is that just how we've done it for 200 years and shut up and stop trying to recreate the wheel?
I'm not going to say that to you.
Well, we've always had the election in April and town meeting in May.
Okay, so Lucia, I'm sorry, can I just ask real quick, what if you think that you could do it earlier than 9, would it be 8 a.m. start or 7?
Yeah, I could do 7 or 8. So I think, go ahead.
You go, Lucia. Finish your question.
No. I would just say, I would think we want to go earlier, probably, I would think 8 o'clock on a Saturday, because we're also going to have 2 seats, I believe, available for the Board of Selectmen and then with the Charter Commission. I think we're looking at a busy town election. Busy, maybe 500 people.
Should be more positive.
So back to my question. Is there any benefit for us to put town meeting before the town election? Does the town election have to happen in April?
Well, you're talking expense. I think if we could have town meeting first, why do another election and spend all that money? Why don't we just put it all on one ballot? That's my thought. But, to save some money. Also, I just want to say that if Elizabeth Warren, what the talk is, gets into the White House, we're looking at a primary, a special primary, and a special state. So I don't know. I don't know when that would happen. March, April. And my thought is that if Bill Galvin goes for this ballots again, the mail in the cards and the mail out ballots, and does it for all elections during the year, I would tend to want to go for one election.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mike.
To answer Michael's question, the election has to be in April, a Saturday in April.
Yeah, that was specific to when we changed it to Saturday.
That is.
Yeah. I was going to say the same. And then I believe the town meeting has to be in April, May, or June,
Correct.
unless it's delayed due to a public emergency or emergency declaration or whatever
Okay.
the term happens to be. Not this year, right?
No, it's gonna be all better.
Yeah. And that's what they say, right? January 1st, 2021.
Easter, right? Oh, this.
All right. So looks like we have Saturday, April 10th for the town election, starting at 8. 8 to 3, Lucia?
Yes, that'd be great.
8 to 3. And would there be early voting as well as the mail-in?
Well, we gotta wait and see. That they don't normally allow town elections to have early voting. That's not, they won't allow it, they wouldn't allow it. I don't know what's gonna happen now. They only allowed it, well, no, we didn't have early voting for the town election. We had mail-in ballots, depending on what Galvin does, but I do know for a fact that town election they're not allowed early voting.
Do we feel that 8 to 3 is a sufficient time for an election that has the charter commission, 2 select board seats, and possibly a debt exclusion vote? It seems like a narrow window for a lot of big draw items.
April 3rd is the day before Easter.
Did I say
In 2017, there was about 4,500 people that showed up. Isn't that correct, Lucia? And was that accurate for I think we were doing a override vote? I would imagine it's going to be very similar to that.
Yes, I would imagine also.
I think, Jack, were you asking on the time? Like the 7 to 3 seem more reasonable with the potential amount of voters?
Well, I think an 8 o'clock start makes sense. I just don't know how late we go into the day to give people the chance to go through
So
it.
5 instead?
I think that's reasonable. That's what, a 9 hour.
5 is more.
That's about 500 people an hour. That seems.
If there's mail-in voting, right? Absentee ballots. I mean,
2/3 are going to be if it's mail-in voting, it's going to be 2, right? That's what we've seen.
Right.
And 2/3 of happening by mail.
If they do that, I mean that was a mistake on the state's part about putting on the cards all elections this year. They didn't take into consideration town elections, and when I called and I said, we've got a town election this year, what do we do? Do we have to do these cards and the mail-in ballots? And they went, oops, yeah, I guess. So I don't know how they're going to work it this year.
Lucia, was that an definitive oops yes, or is that?
That was an oops yes.
That, or do we? I mean, because that's on our dime now, right?
That is on our dime. Yeah, but we just can't say, oh my God, we're going to do mail-in ballots again. The town, we can't say that. There's still state regulations, and you have to get permission from the state to be able to do that. It's not something that we can set and decide we want to do. We can't set and decide we want early voting for the town election. There's the absentee ballots, and that's allowed, but that's as far as it goes as of right now. Unless they change something, then I can check with them. But before it's been, no, you can't do that.
I think I would tend to agree with you, Jack. I think 5 is, if we were doing the 45, assuming that it's going to be very similar to 2017, we had about 4,500 people.
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Lucia, but I think we can adjust the hours as we get more information from the state, correct? The dates.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah. I think 8 to 5 would be great. I don't think I'd go later than 5 on a Saturday. I mean, it's just if you want to, but I wouldn't. I think it's gonna die after 3 because it's a Saturday. But I think 8 to 5 would be good.
So Jack, I'll move that the board set the date for the 2021 town election to Saturday, April 10th from the hours of 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And those hours may be adjusted as we get closer to the date and more information from the state.
I'll call the state next week. I'll give the state a call next week.
Seconded.
Right. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Meg?
Yes.
Michael?
Aye.
Brad?
Yes.
Renee?
Yes.
And I too say aye. Great. Thank you, Lucia. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Any other stuff from your world, Mike?
No.
Alrighty. Move on to report and mail. Meg, anything?
No.
Right. Michael?
I just want to do a shout out to today. There was a Veterans Appreciation Day, and a huge thanks to Horizon Beverage for sponsoring. They've been a sponsor of this event, I believe, for a couple of years, and we had over 50 veterans show up and received a not only a Thanksgiving care package, but lunch to go, and then also a shout out to Estelle, who and you'll see it on the media center recorded. They did do a Veterans Day event yesterday, and it will be available through the media center to check that out. So there's a lot of good things going on for veterans in the last day, and recognizing their service and recognizing their service. So I just wanted to do a call out to those two individuals.
Brad?
All set, thank you.
Renee?
I'm good, thank you, Jeff.
And I have nothing in my inbox this week. Thank you all. Warrants and minutes. So I have approved payroll warrant PR 21-10 for the week ended October 31, 2020. Warrant dated November 5, 2020, in the amount of $1,555,336.58. Invoice warrant AP 21-19, dated November 5, 2020, in the amount of $1,140,944.33. And invoice warrant AP 21-20, dated November 12, 2020, in the amount of $613,398.76. Move on to minutes. So I've read through, and I am good to approve everything that's there. Renee, I know you sent a few edits over.
I did, and they're fine. So I think it might make sense, because I was reading one of the other minutes. I think it's more work for us to approve them separately. So if you guys want to give me the dates that you have, I can do one motion.
I was just going to bulk approve them all and go through. If everybody's good with that.
I have no problem with that.
I'm good. There's, Brad, you said that you read the September 17th exec session ones, right?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't get to those because of my PC problems. But if you read them, I'm fine putting them in the batch.
All right.
And thank you, Jen, for getting those updates. Welcome.
All right. Chair would entertain a motion to approve the following minutes. September 17th, 2020, open session. September 17th, 2020, executive session. September 22nd, 2020, executive session. October 1, 2020, open session. October 1, 2020, executive session. October 6, 2020, open session. October 6, 2020, executive session. October 15th, 2020, open session. And October 15th, 2020, joint meeting. And October 29th, 2020.
We'll move to a second.
All right. I'm not seeing any discussion. Meg?
Yes.
Michael?
Aye.
Brad?
Yes.
Renee?
Yes.
And I too vote yes. Thank you, everybody, and thank you, Jen, for updating that. We have our next meeting scheduled for November 19th. That is now starting earlier at 5:30 p.m. Going the wrong way on our schedule. That's okay.
So you know, Meg, before you came on the board, we never did 5:30 select board meetings.
Yeah, I don't want to hear it. You didn't do any 5-hour meetings either, did you?
A few of those.
Well, did the governor say all meetings have to end by 9:30 now?
Yeah, that's nice try. Only if you have a drink in your hand.
Is there any other business to come before the board? So we still have a few folks hanging on. Seeing none, Chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Right. Motion and a second. Meg?
Yes.
Michael?
Aye.
Brad?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I too. Yes. Thank you all for a wonderful and speak night tonight. 8:10 is a new record for a full meeting. This is good.
Good night.
The curse of Meg is broken. Thanks.
Good night.
All right.
Night off. Be well.
Good night.
Hi, guys.
Hey, everybody.